I was balancing a tray of grocery store cupcakes when my mother-in-law, Diane, glided into the kitchen. "Darling," she sniffed, "those aren't exactly classy." The word hung like expensive perfume. My husband, Leo, squeezed my hand under the table. We were hosting her birthday brunch in our tiny apartment, and I had spent the morning piping frosting that kept melting. I laughed it off, but inside I shrank. Classy, according to Diane, meant crystal stemware, not rented plates. After the guests left, Diane handed me a glossy magazine. Vogue. "Study the standards," she whispered, lipstick perfect. I smiled, swallowed the lump in my throat, and promised I would. I went to bed that night staring at the ceiling, frosting still under my nails. Monday, 9:43 a.m., I opened my laptop at my call center cubicle. Between customer complaints, I scrolled through Vogue's website. Cover stars wore silk and diamonds. I wore a headset and hand-me-down blazers. On my break, I sketched dress ideas on sticky notes. I had loved fashion since I was 8, cutting up grocery bags to make gowns for my dolls. College bills had buried that dream, until Diane watered it with insults. During lunch, I typed open casting calls into the search bar. A local art college needed models for a charity runway. No experience required. My pulse pounded. I hesitated, then sent 3 photos from my cracked phone. I hit submit before courage leaked away. Thursday night, an email blinked. "Congratulations, you've been selected." My hands shook so hard I knocked over Leo's soda. He read the screen, grinning. "You're walking a runway, babe." I wanted to scream, but Diane's voice hissed in my head. Classy enough. I borrowed my neighbor's sewing machine and stayed up until 3 a.m. turning my old prom dress into a cocktail gown. The night of the show, I stepped onto the campus runway wearing my homemade dress. Lights blazed. I tripped on the hem, but I smiled like I owned Paris. The crowd clapped. One man in the front row held up his phone, recording. I didn't know it yet, but he posted the clip online with the caption, "Unknown model eats runway, then devours your heart." Overnight, the video exploded. Millions of views, thousands of comments. "Who is she?" "That smile saved 2024. A major stylist DM'd me. "Vogue wants fresh faces. Can you come to New York next week?" I read the message 5 times, sure it was a prank. Leo hugged me so tight my feet left the floor. I told Diane over brunch. She sipped her mimosa, unimpressed. "Vogue tests hundreds, don't get excited." Her doubt felt like a seatbelt, tight but safe. I smiled anyway. "I'm going." Monday, 10 a.m., I stood outside Condé Nast in thrift store heels. Security handed me a visitor badge. Elevators swooshed upward. My reflection showed puffy eyes from sewing all night. I had remade 3 outfits on the bus. A woman with silver hair introduced herself, Stella, casting director. She handed me a Polaroid camera. "Point, shoot, personality." I snapped a goofy selfie, stuck my tongue out. She laughed. "That's new." They led me to a studio filled with racks of couture. A photographer lifted his lens. "Walk, laugh, spin," I obeyed, heart drumming. After an hour, Stella clapped. "That's a wrap. We'll call you." I left floating, unsure if I had impressed or merely amused. 3 days later, my phone rang at work. Stella's voice. "You made the shortlist. Come back tomorrow for cover test." I squealed so loud my supervisor ran over. I typed my resignation email, hands shaking. No more headset. No more study the standards. I was writing my own. Diane overheard the news from Leo. She sent a text. "Shortlist isn't cover. Keep your feet on the ground." I replied with a photo of my boarding pass. "Feet are in the clouds." Thursday, 7 a.m., I stepped onto set. Hair, makeup, lights. They placed me in a gown that shimmered like moonlight. The photographer said, "Think of the moment you felt smallest." Tears welled. I pictured Diane's kitchen. Then he said, "Now show us how big you got." I lifted my chin and smiled like sunrise. The camera clicked like applause. After the shoot, Stella handed me an envelope. "Don't open until you're on the train." I rode home, heart hammering. Inside, a mock-up cover with my face, the headline "Class Redefined." I cried the whole way, mascara painting courage on my cheeks. A week later, Vogue posted the cover online. My phone exploded. Leo spun me in circles. My call center coworkers screenshotted it and hung it on the wall. Diane sent a single emoji, the sparkle, not quite an apology, but close. The next morning, paparazzi waited outside my apartment. They shouted my name, Maya, the cupcake girl who became a galaxy. I wore jeans and a grin. Leo held my hand like armor. We walked to the corner cafe, cameras flashing, coffee tasting like victory. Diane called, voice soft. I bought 10 copies, the photo, it's beautiful. I waited. She added, I was wrong, you are classy, you always were. My eyes stung. Thank you, I whispered. In the background, I heard her tell the cashier, that's my daughter-in-law. Pride sounded foreign from her lips, but I could get used to it. Magazines flew off shelves. Designers emailed collaboration requests. I started a small fashion line, affordable, size-inclusive, galaxy-themed. I named the first dress Diane, after the woman who forced me to aim higher. Pre-orders sold out in 6 hours. I threw a launch party in my old neighborhood. We served grocery store cupcakes on silver trays. Kids painted stars on a bedsheet runway. Cameras rolled. I walked last, wearing jeans and a t-shirt that read classy as kind. The crowd roared. Diane sat front row, clapping until her hands turned pink. A reporter asked what I learned. I said, class isn't crystal, it's courage. The clip went viral. Millions of views. Comments flooded. I needed this today. Buying the magazine now. Sending to my mom. Vogue invited me to guest edit the next issue. I chose stories about factory workers, plus-size moms, and a janitor who designs prom dresses. Sales broke records. Stella hugged me and said, you changed what fashion looks like. I answered, no, I reminded it what people look like. Diane invited me to tea. We sat in her sunroom, porcelain clinking. She slid a small box across the table. Inside, a silver bracelet shaped like stars. For the girl who reached them, she said. We cried, we laughed, we sipped Earl Grey. For the first time, I felt her warmth, not her weight. I wore the bracelet on my next cover, Vogue's year-end issue titled Galaxy Hearts. The photographer captured it catching light. Diane framed the photo and hung it in her hallway, next to Leo's baby pictures. Acceptance tasted sweeter than any runway champagne. 1 year later, I stood on a college stage, speaking to first-gen students. I told them about sticky note sketches, bus seat sewing, and the power of a single no that pushes you to say yes to yourself. I ended with, class is defined by character, not crystal. They gave me a standing ovation that shook the walls. So here's the truth about doubt. It's just a door. Kick it open, walk through, and decorate the other side with stars. My mother-in-law said I wasn't classy enough. Vogue called me their newest cover star. Same girl, same heart, bigger galaxy. Class isn't what you wear, it's what you do when someone tells you you don't belong. You smile, adjust your crown, even if it's made of cupcake wrappers, and build a sky so bright they can't help but see you shine.